Hi everyone, my name is Elisa Bernstein.
And I'm Stephen Leckie.
And this is Vox Talks. Today we are going to look at American politicians. We're going to analyze their speaking skills.
By the end of this decade, 2 in 3 job openings will require some higher education. 2 in 3. And yet we still live in a country where too many bright, striving Americans are priced out of the education they need. It's not fair to them, and it's sure not smart for our future.
So we have an excellent speaker in Barack Obama.
He's got a personality that comes through, which is so rare in speakers, especially politicians.
I really enjoy his laid-back approach, even in a formal speech. However, it leads to some habits that are not that great for speakers.
He has a habit that so many speakers have, and his is quite extreme. He drops out at the end of each line. He says something important and then it just dies out. And he does that almost all the time.
And if you watch as well, it's interesting, the body language also drops out. The hands come up and they drop out.
People have a lot of trouble with gesture, and he's not alone. They feel very exposed when they leave it out, but you have to take the risk, stay there, and let it develop into something else.
I think if the gesture can be maintained, the thought and the speaking of the thought is also maintained. And I think that's what's great about the great speakers. They actually have one expressive plane, they frame it with a gesture, and they don't drop out on each segment of a statement.
And what's unfortunate is with this speaker who does bring a lot of personality and passion to his speaking, it gives the impression that he's not engaged in what he's saying. Because if I were to speak like this, and I start something else and then it drops out, well then I lose interest myself, and certainly my audience will.
So the tip for this speaker would be to see whether he can actually maintain what we call the expressive plane and build the line toward the end, and then change. Try not, as speakers, to drop out constantly throughout the fragments of your statements. So let's take a look at a less formal setting and find out what the speech qualities are here.
On a lot of the issues that young people care about, it's not both sides arguing and creating gridlock. You've got one side that is denying the facts, who are often motivated principally by opposing whatever it is that I propose.
Now, I don't know if everybody can hear this, but there's a huge difference in his interview.
I sure can hear it. Of course, we have chosen these clips cleverly so that you can see, hopefully, the contrast. But more importantly, this contrast is absolutely unmistakable.
Well, first of all, he sounds like a human being speaking naturally, which he is. You see the change from the first thought to the second one. You see him reinvest with an energy in the middle of that. And that second one stays alive the whole time. So he's not dropping it.
Again, and the premise here is not to actually assume that we're always going to speak the same according to different situations. But the techniques of speaking need to stay the same. We need to approach everything we're saying with that refreshed view of actual spontaneous thinking. And you see it so clearly here, what he's capable of, and where the speech actually goes, and how we don't get the drop, and how the gesture's not dropping, and the voice is not dropping. He actually keeps us on the hook there with these clever open-ended inflections until he leads us by the nose right to his point. And why would that not work for politics?
All of speaking is the same thing, whether you're speaking in a conversation or you're speaking formally. The essence of it is the same. We want it to sound natural. So those lines have to be understood in terms of shape, in terms of inflection, in terms of level changes.
So let's just knock off some techniques that he has in the interview situation that he doesn't have in his speech. He keeps the line open. He develops from line to line. He has a much better gestural backup plan. He has this foundation gesture that he builds upon as he speaks. These are qualities that need to come into all of his speaking, and all of his speaking will benefit from them.
And the result is he's so much more engaged and engaging. He's so interesting to listen to, and you're more involved in what he's saying, and you understand it better as well.